Worried about the impact a restraining order will have on your reputation? Here's what you can do. So you've been served with a restraining order, and maybe that restraining order has been granted by a judge. You're upset. There's people in your lives, your family, your friends, your coworkers. They find out about this protective order and it's shining a negative light upon you because maybe you're not the person that is being alleged in this restraining order. Well, what can you do to help remedy your reputation in the world? Well, first and foremost, if you are served with a restraining order, it is very, very important to get an attorney immediately. An attorney is going to be able to present evidence and argue on your behalf to try to get a restraining order that's been filed with the court dismissed. Now, there's two types of restraining orders. There's one that is granted ex parte, and there's one that's granted after a hearing, evidence has been presented. That's why it's very important to have an attorney, because if a restraining order is granted ex parte, as soon as you get notice of that restraining order, you have 30 days to file notice with the court that you would like a hearing. So that way you can get in front of the judge and argue against this restraining order. Now, a big thing is you're going to want to get out in front of this. There might be some talk about you on social media. There might be people kind of figuring out that there's a restraining order that's been filed, and they might even get some of the allegations. A lot of this information can be publicly accessible. So it's not unlikely that people will know about it if there's a restraining order that's been filed against you. The best thing you're going to want to do is to tell people that you've hired an attorney to fight these allegations and leave it at that. You're not going to want to get into the facts on social media. You don't want to bring this fight online, because what we want is for the information to come out in front of the judge. The last thing we want is to go in front of the judge and hear all the allegations, and then the petitioner saying, and then he's saying all this stuff on Facebook. It just muddies the water. The best thing to do is just, if people find out about a restraining order, is just tell them that you've hired an attorney, you're working to fight this to clear your name. Another big thing that you can tell people if they find out about this restraining order is to remind them that this is civil in nature. This is not a criminal offense. This isn't something where police were called. This isn't something where you were arrested, charged, had to pay a bond, had to go to jail. This is a civil matter. Yes, it is in front of a judge. Yes, it can have negative implications in your life. But the big thing is, no matter what happens in this restraining order hearing, whether it's dismissed or granted, is that you are not going to jail over this. And that's the big thing to remember, is this is civil in nature. This is not a criminal offense. If you're facing a restraining order or have questions about restraining orders in general, please give us at the Marc Lopez Law Firm a phone call, 317-632-3642. And always remember, plead the fifth.